Hi. Okay, here we go. And let me ask for the. Can you give me the co-host, Brent? There you go. And you know what, Michael? I'm gonna have Helen come up first, and we're gonna have let's get to know her quickly, and then we can go from there. And Brent just is joining in with us. He's just started the space. He was running a little late, and I actually I'm streaming it right now. So let me go ahead and change the heading. We are gonna record, and it's going live right now on Facebook group in Women in Communications group page, and also our Twitch page and our YouTube. Hold on, there's so much. It's a lot of what they call it, distribution of content. Okay, here we go. Oops. Okay, done.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Chris. Say hi to Shannon also. Hi, Michael. Hi, Helen. Helen and I was like text messaging.
Oh, here I am. Hello there. Hi, Brent. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Hi, Michael. And hi, wait, what's the last one? Chris.
Well, after before we start, and I kind of want to I'm excited to get to know you better because ironically we were supposed to have chat with you last week, but it was nice because we got to see you more. I had a chance that you were popping into my space and you were like being part of the community. I wanted to say welcome and thank you. I appreciate you for being showing up and just being part of our community. And it was nice seeing you in the spaces that I was at, the last few days.
Thanks, Tanya. Yeah, I decided to start one space by myself, and it's nice just to pop into some of the Twitter space you're in, just so I can get a sense of my way around here. And it's certainly a really nice community because I'm getting to see some of the same names come up. So this is a great evening for me. Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, Brent, are you there?
Yes.
Are we ready?
I'm glad to have you here, Helen.
So I'm going to go run the other software, okay? Go ahead and do the opening.
So, can you? So, do you want to start with an intro, Helen?
Okay. In terms of introducing myself, or would you like to introduce sort of the Twitter space, Brent?
You can introduce yourself, and then I will introduce the three topics that I have picked out for the discussion.
Okay. So my name is Helen Filipe, and you'll see me here as Hopeful Helen. I do have two Twitter space. I have a background of about 25 years working in higher education, working with youth, working with students, everything from admissions, recruitment. Um, and I've recently started my own business, which is Azul Education, which is helping youth in that transition from high school to university and the world of work. Another whole other side of me, which is the hopeful Helen, is um, really started from a story back in 2012 where I had an opportunity to connect with Oprah for the first time. So I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you, Brent and Tanya, for inviting me, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
So, the three topics that will be covered, if you're okay with them, Helen: insecurity, disability, and food and your work at the food bank.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Yes, of course.
So, the first question that I have for you, not in that topic, in one of those topics, but something that inspires you, in the day during the day.
For me, every day, oh well, I'm inspired by so many people which I've connected with, which I've worked with, friends, family. And I think what keeps me going or the motivation is how each of us every single day, by connecting with one another, um, that's that's what keeps me motivated. We are social beings by nature, and I know the pandemic has really put a damper on all that, but there's things like Twitter Space, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Clubhouse. There's so many ways that social media can connect us and that we can continue with a positive outlook and inspired.
I'm sure like one of your biggest phenomenal moments was like having being side by side Oprah.
Yes, yes, I'm asked by that story a lot. Did you want to hear the story behind that, Brent?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's an amazing story.
All right, all right. So I sort of grew up, not to date myself. Well, I will date myself. I'm 50 years old, and my late teens and my early adulthood was really watching the Oprah Winfrey show. And it was 4 o'clock. And I knew not, I couldn't always be there, but back then I could record the episodes on a VCR. And certainly I was an avid fan and really enjoyed her. And what I found most inspiring to me was that she was able to talk about the tough conversations. She was able to bring up topics that no one else was talking about. And it was certainly her talk show that I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how we really need to respect each other, assess situations with an open mind, and to truly know that everyone has a story. So in 2012, I had the opportunity. Well, before 2012, my goal was to go on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I tried and I tried. And living up in Toronto, it was a complicated process, but I did make it to Chicago on her last season, and I was very close to getting tickets, but I didn't. But I did manage to go across the street from the Oprah Winfrey Show was the Winfrey Network store. So I felt just, what, if I could just have a piece of it. It was almost like a little museum of Oprah. I got a hoodie, I got, a bag. I think I got a few things, and I came home back to Toronto. Well, you know what? That was my opportunity. That was getting as close as I could to Oprah. Little did I know that in 2012 she was coming to Toronto, Canada. And I was giddy with excitement. And my husband knew it, my kids knew it. I think I told everyone. And that weekend, I was gardening with my kids. My kids were young at the time, they were both under 10 years old. And they knew how excited I was that they wrote "Welcome to Toronto" in chalk, and then with gardening tools, like they used a hula hoop for the O. They used, I think, different gardening tools to make the PRAO. So it was "Welcome to Toronto" Oprah on our driveway. And what I did is I took a picture of it. I took a picture of it with my kids and my neighbor in it because they had put it together. And I tweeted it to Oprah. And I said, "Welcome to Toronto, Oprah. I'm really excited about seeing you on Monday." Well, guess what, guys? She responded. I was just blown away because I put Oprah as the handle, just wondering, who. I didn't know if it was Oprah that was handling her Twitter account or not. And I was invited then. I got a tweet back saying that I was invited to the Royal York for an afternoon tea with Oprah on this Sunday. Well, I thought it was a joke. I kind of almost thought that this is one of those, messages you receive that you've won $1 million. You just have to submit to us $500 first. But I'm so nervous, and I guess I would just didn't think that something like that could happen to me, so I didn't go. And the next day was the show, and I went just like everyone else. There's 15,000 people in the Toronto Convention Center to hear her. And I was getting more tweets. I was getting tweets from, I guess, her team in Chicago to say, go up to the front, go up to the front and sit with the other own ambassadors. And I didn't know what that was. I was at the show by myself because I knew, my husband, I didn't want him to spoil my excitement. So I went out to the front, took a picture of the people up there, and said, no way, like, I can't do it. They'll be videotaping me. I'll probably, scream or something. So I went back to my seat. Uh, the show was phenomenal. It was a full day of not just Oprah, but many, many speakers. Deepak Chopra, lots of Iana Von Zandt. So went home really excited, and then a few months later, I get a tweet saying, "You're invited to have lunch with Oprah." Well, I was blown away. Again, I thought it was my husband or a dear friend making a joke with me, but that was the beginning. In a few months later, I flew to LA, and there was, in fact, a, an incredible lunch with lots of security. And it was myself and seven other individuals from across Canada, someone from Ottawa, someone from Lethbridge, someone from Nova Scotia, all over. And also about 20 representatives from the US, again, across the states in different cities. Um, Two people from Australia. Anyways, it was around, and it was a private lunch for us. We all had name tags, and we were really excited. And she came in, with Entertainment Tonight, the cameras, everything, and it was sort of surreal because I was at a table with the Canadians, so it's a table of 10, and there were two seats saying reserved. Um, and we were told that one of them would be for Oprah and the other for the CEO of the Oprah Winfrey Network, which they would be seated with us and they would rotate table to table. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. And in she came. She first took lots of photos. She had on these beautiful, beautiful high heels. And she said, let's get the photos done because I want to take off my shoes. So we got all the nice photos done, and there was a little video clip that aired on Entertainment Tonight. After that, she took off her high heels, put on slippers, and spent a great deal with us at each table, sort of asking more about us. That was the beginning of having an opportunity to be with Oprah multiple times since. So since then, I was invited to, I think I met, let me just think. I met with her in Miami. I've met with her in LA various times, in Hamilton, Canada. And probably the most epic one for me is when I got an invitation to attend her 64th birthday party in Los Angeles, which was a dream come true, which was a full afternoon. She went around and spoke to everyone there. She was so down to earth and gave each of us her attention and responded to our questions. And I am always sort of, nervous about calling her a friend, but I am super, super lucky. Oprah followed me on Twitter back in 2012. And since, I received birthday wishes from her, and she's just amazing. So that was a long answer, Brent. I'm sorry. But I just get so excited about it.
No, but it's an amazing story that like had a dream that came true, because lots of times dreams don't come true.
I think it's one that, um, it was a dream, but I never thought it would happen to me. For any of you who have big dreams, hang on to them, because life throws you things unexpectedly when that you've been wanting, but you always wonder, how will that happen? Well, this happened to me, and if this can happen to me, it can happen to you too, Brent. Oprah is actually really approachable. She does do her own Twitter account to this day. Some people think, oh, it's a huge team. Well, she does have a huge team with her, but her own Twitter account is managed by her. We've seen it. She's given us lots of golden nuggets, lots of lessons, and one of them is to ensure that the tweets, you are responsible for what you say in a public manner. So she takes great pride. She's not on as often now. She used to be on every single show. She would join in and tweet. But keep dreaming and dream big.
That's incredible. I love that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally know what you mean. Like, I have major girl crush on Oprah. I swear, I tell people my goal was in life was to be the Asian version of Oprah, right? Because what she's done. And yes, it sounds funny, but that's what I did really. That's what I set out to be when I first started streaming in 2010. So today, and then hearing how excited you are, that was just so incredible, because you're right. You can do whatever you want. That's my mantra. I mean, I can do whatever I want. I think that the only reason people can't do it is their own inner doubt. And if they keep, they listen to it so much, that, sometimes it's okay to have voices to tell you that you're going to fail. It's okay. I'm one of those people. I've had it, but you have to like wash it away. And so you're telling me this story and I can hear your excitement. It's just like, that's so cool. Like that's the kind of passion that you wish you can bottle that and introduce that to people. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does this sound weird or
Oh no.
corny for me to say that? Because I meet people and I'm kind of like, I'm more excited about what they do than they do but for themselves. And I feel like, they need someone to just show them what passion or what they think it is. Because today we're raised to believe that you are not in anything unless the kind of car you have or how much money you make. But really, it's all about experience, right?
Tonya, no, you're absolutely right. It's about the space that you hold. And I can tell your excitement. And why not be the Asian version of Oprah? And in fact, she taught me and taught many that it isn't necessarily that you're an Asian version of Oprah. You're Tanya. You are what we mean by when we say Oprah is someone that is caring, someone that is thoughtful, who acts as a leader, who has a lot of empathy, someone who is enthusiastic and inspires many. So all of us, and she tells us, all of us, the moment that we listened to her or followed in her mission and her goals of reaching out to as many people around the world, then if you have that excitement, Tanya, you're on your way.
Like, what thing one thing is I've always told people, the hardest part is to have this kind of excitement doing the same thing over and over for like, I don't know, 14, 15 years. And because every day to me is like, and every time a new technology, new thing happens in social media, I'm like, I'm excited. I feel like I just started all over again. And when I first discovered social media in 2007, right, I was like, no one was talking about it. That's how I feel like now about social audio and how the excitement people get. And people, it's either you sound like you're ready to conquer the world or you're just ready to just, drop dead in front of them. I mean, it's really this social audio, you can hear it in the person's voice. So I feel like thank you. I want to say thank you for just giving me affirmation for that, because that's what I want people to do. And so when I hear you, I was like, oh gosh, that's why I want people to sound like, because sometimes I don't mean to be critical, but it bothers me sometimes when I meet certain people that they don't seem as excited as I am toward them.
And
Is that crazy?
no, no, surround yourself by people that excite you. Surround yourself by people that you have engaging conversations that really push you to be open-minded and create that excitement. I think when you talk about doing the same thing over and over, I know what you mean, but at the same time I feel like no, every day's different, because if I interact
I
with
agree with you on that part too.
yeah, if I interact with different people, it's always different. It was Brent that first invited me to Twitter Space, and I thought, oh, do I have room for that right now? Because there is a lot going on. But then I heard Brent, and I was just so impressed by him and how excited he was of his advocacy work and doing what he's doing, that I was like, I'd love to join you, Brent. So here I am.
So I looked on your Twitter feed and I noticed that one of your passions is the Compass Food Bank. Can you explain that, Helen?
Yes, I can, Brent. So the Compass Food Bank is actually a local food bank in my area, and it's been around for quite a while. I should know probably when it started, but I'm an active volunteer. Um, Probably when I was active with their storage, sort of putting up um, their food on the shelves. And one of my favorite was, we call them personal shoppers. So when our clients would come through, um, each client gets a personal shopper. And it's such a great model, because the Compass Food Bank is set up almost like a shopping store. So your average food bank, you get a box and it's all the same. And what the Compass has done differently is, we really want to um, honor and respect each client with what are their food requirements, and not just give them boxed non-perishable, but there's fruits, there's vegetables, there's spices, there's all these things. So during the pandemic, we didn't want to stop that, because the personal shopper is someone who would go through all the aisles and also help them learn about budgeting. So they would be given a budget of, let's say, $10. $10 at the Compass is really equivalent to about $75, but they had to budget. So if it cost 10 cents to buy an apple, then that would be part of their budget. When COVID hit, oh my goodness, I think every food bank, well, all of us, were turned upside down. And how I got really involved is, I knew that in 24 hours, many of the restaurants, many of the businesses all had to shut down. And I also knew that our food bank shelves were almost, you know, at that point that's critical, that we don't know what to do. So on March 13th, myself and the volunteer coordinator, I said, you know what, I am going to call, yep, pick up the phone and call directly to all the businesses in the community, particularly restaurants, because they had fridges full of food, freezers full of all sorts of thing. And I called them quickly each. I am fortunate that I'm very active in the community. So a lot of people knew who I was, and that I volunteer at the food bank, and saying, I know you're swamped right now, but think about the food bank. There's so much food insecurity out there, and so many people in the community. If they could, get through the next 48 hours and then call us, so that we didn't have any food waste. I just hated the thought that, restaurants were full of potatoes and onions and carrots and all sorts of things, eggs, milk that would spoil. And it was outstanding. So I think I spent sort of 24 hours nonstop. Yes, I did work throughout that whole night. But within 2 to 3 days, it was overwhelming. Um, Stores that had sort of food sections, most of the restaurants came in with like 2,000 pounds of, they were fully stocked. Like, no one knew, of course, that the pandemic was coming. And we got everything from, chicken, meats, eggs, all sorts of things. And the format, instead of a personal shopper, what I did is I went to social media because I knew it was actually through social media that I connected with Oprah. Why not I connect, restaurants to the food bank to ensure that there's a lifeline there? So the last thing we wanted to do is shut down the food banks. There's just too much of a need. And instead of personal shoppers, is that they would fill out, whether it be electronically, on person, or over the phone, what were their food needs for that week. And instead of walking through them, there would be a person selecting all those different things and ensure that they get their food met. So yes, I'm very active with the Compass Food Bank. It inspires me every day with individual stories. Like, we never know, right? The pandemic, none of us were ready for it, but we also don't know what's happening in our lives. Everything could be great, and then all of a sudden, we have some health issues, a death, a marriage that breaks down, anything that can affect us, that everything can change overnight. And the pandemic was just another thing like that, and so much stress. So to be able to provide some hope, to be able to provide assistance to those that are most vulnerable in our society was uplifting for me, and uplifting for others, because we were in really dark days. We didn't know what was going on, but we certainly were hearing that, things were not going to be good, and that at first it was we'd all be shut down for 2 weeks. And I remember how scared all of us thought, how will
But
we
I
fun-"
mean, we see a lot of like there are a lot of like people that like collect like social assistance and like use a food bank. So a food bank is like a big priority thing that has to like be in the community for people that collect like social assistance and welfare and like those kinds of things. And it like to know that a food bank is around for if for people like that need it is a good thing to know that it's around.
Yes, Brent. Certainly, we saw ourselves as essential workers. Obviously, all the healthcare, all of that was needed, but to me, having a food bank and services for those in need is an essential thing that every community should have. And you're right, Brent. There's so many people we never know, especially when we meet through these Twitter spaces. Most people, you have to have access to a phone or to audio. But one of the things is actually, once we were sort of in the thick, by week 3, was to actually get phones to the his clients, because they needed access to the world. And all of a sudden, the phone was essential so that they could make their food orders, so that they can ensure that they had a place to go, you know, some sort of.
Because going hungry is not a great thing, and that's why a food bank stops people from going hungry.
Absolutely. And it also helped, um, our homeless, community. Our I guess.
And a food bank also helps newcomers to America and Canada.
Yes, Brent. Absolutely. And it was really.
Because right now there are a lot of newcomers, like newcomers who have come from Afghanistan and Vietnam and all those places.
Yes, and those communities are, certainly at a disadvantage, because they don't know sort of where to go if they need assistance. So it is so important that we value and that we support, those food banks and lifelines for those individuals if they.
Another big thing that's like good to have around in like a schools is a breakfast program for disadvantaged kids.
Yes, yes. And if I could make a comment on that, breakfast programs at schools are wonderful, but I'd like it that it be accessible for everybody. And the reason why is you don't want to put a spotlight on a student that really needs that food. The reality is it will be them that will be going every day.
Because I think why people don't take part in free stuff is because they don't want to be teased and judged that they're getting like a free lunch or a free breakfast or free food.
Exactly. I know on the parent council of the school my son attends, it's huge that it be offered to everyone so that someone doesn't feel embarrassed to go. And then others can choose to pick up something here or there. But the importance of, they already feel vulnerable, children who have not eaten at home. So I know that many school boards and many schools are doing their best to have breakfast programs that are, anyone can go to freely. That there is no sort of pointing out, well,
Because
oh,
because if someone knows that you're poor and getting a free lunch, they will make fun of you, and Tanya will agree with me about it.
Yeah, I experienced that when I was a kid. We were poor, came to the United States. So the kids, it was really embarrassing. And that's why I think I have like the thought of drinking milk gives me anxiety because that's when the kid's poor when they're on some type of help because they get free milk. And all the other kids know that. And I grew up with a stigma of like feeling poor and not good enough. And it bothered me as a child. That's my first thing I experienced it in this country. But I got over it. But I feel like I literally had a talk. That's why Brent brought me up because I hosted a Twitter space and we had this young lady that started a nonprofit that she goes to schools and talk about the nutrition and stuff. And we went down this tangent of I felt like all kids since we're already funding the school books already. Why can't we just add a couple more penny to the free breakfast for all the kids? And even I would do breakfast, lunch, because at the end of the day, if a child gets what they need and everyone's eating the same thing, so it's more of a conversation to each other, or maybe complaining about their food or what they like, what they don't like. But if they all got it, and without thinking about, oh, this one is not good enough because their mommy and daddy couldn't afford it, so.
It's unfortunate that people, children, can be so cruel. It's unfortunate that the parents who are supposed to be the example of their children don't teach them proper manners and respect prior to them going to school so that they don't berate somebody that's less fortunate than themselves. They ought to learn how to appreciate what they have and understand that not everybody is born with a golden spoon in their mouth at all. It's few and far between. It would be nice if the parents would say, your father and we work extremely hard to put a roof over your head, but I want you to know there are other parents that have children that also work extremely hard, that are working maybe 2, 3 jobs just to help put the um, food on the table. So if you see somebody that can't afford a lunch, don't pick on them, be their friend. Let them, if they purchase it using a token or whatever, and your friends try to make fun of them, don't let them. Tell them that's bullying, and you wouldn't want to be bullied. Okay, and if you're at school and somebody is bullying you because you're trying to get a free lunch, that it's not your,
I
children
know,
aren't
but
that
Michael
far.
is children are mean. Like they can't help themselves. It's just that's the way. I don't know. Lord of the Fly mentality.
Yeah, exactly. In any case, I'm going to yield. I want hopeful to Helen to continue with what she's saying. And Helen, I apologize. I was having trouble connecting, and that's why I kind of got bounced out of the room. Not intentional; it was just connection problems. So if I disappear, it's strictly from Twitter. It's nothing personal because I'm enjoying what you're saying.
Oh, Michael, no, I was just happy you came back. And right now, lines dropping. it seems to be like across the board. It happens to us, and we, if anything, it's teaching me more patience and just learning that, things drop. And Michael, everything you said is so important. It's true, Tanya, that kids don't even realize they're doing it, but Michael touched on that, it is about respect. It is about not just the parents, but the community, the teachers, anyone that's has any connection with those with every kid. Actually, I don't want to single it out, because the more we can understand each other, the more respectful we will be, and the better students, because you don't want a child to be there where, as Tanya's saying, all that you're thinking about is that you're hungry. You can't learn when you're hungry. You need to have something in you, because that's a basic need that needs to be addressed even before the child is
But lots of kids go to school hungry because the parents don't have are too lazy to give them a breakfast or a lunch.
there's different reasons that it happens, Brent, and sometimes it really is that parent, it's tough. They have to pay their rent, and they're trying to figure out like how it goes. And we need to understand that that is just a reality for a lot of people. It's just not talked about a lot. And like Tanya started off at the beginning, we value people, when they have X number of dollars and cars and whatever it is. We need to value everybody. And we never know who that kid or that adult is until we find out so much about them. All of that bullying, all of the singling out or making someone feel bad, it's called judgment. Unfortunately, it comes to each of us so easily that we're almost unconsciously do make judgments on new people without ever giving them a chance. And we have to give them a chance. And if all of my experience and background has taught me is that when we open ourselves to find out, you know, why is it that that child is, bullying? Perhaps they're food insecure too, or they have some issues. And I don't think it's necessarily laziness on the parents. I do think that there's so many factors that are happening that is really hard to understand, and maybe we'll never understand, but we all can help.
So what is your like next passion or dream in your life?
Oh, Brent, that's such a big question. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is about, I my background's in education, and it's all about education and really reaching the students as young as possible in terms of giving them an optimistic view. Tanya's story is not alone. I have that story as well, of kids who, arrive to this education system with so many other issues that they're carrying on their backs even before they, speak up. And if we can somehow have, a better approach to welcoming, supporting kids, and letting them know how education can empower them and for them to continue in school, because we know lots of kids want to drop out of high school. Lots of kids, see that, this is a really shitty time for some of them.
And lots of
And
kids see their friends have like toys and like things and knowing and they know that they can't have them, but they really want to have that what they can't have.
absolutely. There, I think, I mean, it's a huge topic. So my dream would be that every child feels confident enough, has good self-esteem to learn, to help others, and to continue and pursue their dreams, whatever they may be, whether they want to be a firefighter, a hairstylist, an artist, a talk show host, a nurse, everything. I can't, the list is endless. And so many kids, their dreams are kind of crushed so early on when they say, I want to do this. And I truly believe that whatever someone says, and it's not just for kids, it's adults as well, is find out what does that mean. So you may think, well, my dream is to impact 1,000 people, ensuring that there's financial literacy, what to understand, the importance of budgeting and saving and all that kind of stuff. Well, there's lots of ways of doing it. You can be, you certainly would want to have a background in finance, but there's lots of programs that I actually want to have implemented in schools early on, and that's my mission right now, is to give hope and optimism to young kids, students in particular, that there is hope out there for a good future for them, that there's a lot of opportunities, and all that they have to do is look for the helpers, which is, I guess, straight out of, oh goodness, I'm trying to think of his name. Uh, oh, forgive me, I can't remember the person who I'm quoting right now. Mr. Rogers, that's it. Mr. Rogers in the Neighborhood, and he always said at the end of his episodes is look for the helpers because they're out there. And if as kids and as adults we seek out someone that will support us, that will cheer us on, that will listen to us, then we'll all be better um, in society in general. I'd love to hear from some of the other speakers and listeners too. Or Brent, actually continue with your questions. I know you have more.
So I would like to conclude this space soon, but I would like to hear a word of wisdom from you that we can take away from this space.
Brent, I knew you would end it that way, and that's probably why I was saying I want to hear from others. Words of wisdom from Helen. Right now, it's my wish, and what I have learned the most during these past 18 months in the pandemic is to when you meet someone, whether it be through audio, in person, online, through Zoom, is to meet them where they're at. So often we have all these expectations ourselves. We have this sort of fantasy of how they'll be, how they'll talk with us, and we never know. And sometimes um, part of it is just being open and to be responsive. Like I find actually Twitter now and all of these things is very helpful because there's something written under each person. It tells you a little bit about what they've done. I'm curious. I usually go into the profile, I see what they talk about, what they retweet, and you really learn a lot about other people. So to be open to other people's stories, other people's experiences, and to respect all of those, no matter how foreign they are to us, to just be open to listening.
I would like to have the last word for this space. I would like to thank Helen for coming for an interview, and I would like to offer to be able to have you back at a future time for another amazing discussion in my Twitter space.
Oh, thank you, Brent. Thank you so much, and I'd be happy to. I'm very open to it because I think when we're all connecting like
And
this
you're
is
my
how we're growing.
And the best thing about 2021, my best moment on Twitter during COVID is when I first met you.
Oh, Brent, that's so. Thank you. I'm speechless. Thank you, Brent.
You're an amazing person, and keep fighting your dreams and stay strong, Helen.
Thank you, Brent, and my wish is the same to you and to anyone listening tonight. And thank you, Tanya, for ensuring that we put this together.
And
And I would
and
love.
and thanks again to my amazing co-host Tanya Schultz from Boca Raton, Florida.
As always, my pleasure. I'm live streaming this right now. I just want to let you know, but I'll send you like the raw footage of it. Helen, if you need to get some good snippets for your own stuff to promote for your own channel, you're welcome to. But again, it was great chatting with everyone, and I'm actually going to go start my own space because we're going to have a party now. It's a good friend Alberto's birthday party. So
Thanks for coming, Helen.
bye everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night,
Night.
everybody, or good afternoon, wherever it is that you
Night,
are.
Helen.
Good night, Brent.
Thank you.